Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Saturday, we're probably drunk. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to a special after hours edition of the I'm No Joe / what did I say show / podcast thing, post press fight shenaniganza. We are here. I know at least some of us have been imbibing in adult cocktails during these fantastic fisticuffs we have had this fine evening, which literally just ended moments ago. Before we get into all the craziness, golf team may or may not be here. This is extremely late for him, but we do have the young gunner here. How you doing, RJ?
Doing pretty good, man. I could not watch most of the fights because I was at work, but I caught in a couple little clips here and there.
Well, I will say this. We are not going to do a full retro review, breakdown, whatever you want to call that. That is still going to take place on the normal Thursday show. There are literally 5 things that I want to talk about here. We will keep it fairly quick, and then I will let you folks go about the rest of your Saturday. First and foremost, I want to start right off at the fucking top. We have to officially now crown him Mystic Piotr. I believe it was 2.5 months ago now. Piotr Jan said flat out, I will never get my rematch. When it comes time for them to force him to face me again, he will feign an injury and pull out at the last minute. And we have not had the Piotr Jan versus Aljamain Sterling rematch official for 267 for but 2 weeks now, less than a month. The fight is less than a month away, and then this morning, Aljamain Sterling, exactly as Piotr Jan predicted, pulled out of the fight and said that he is still dealing with recurring injuries in his neck from the surgery. Ironically enough, though, as Golfty and I were discussing earlier, despite just this morning pulling out of his fight a month from now, literally, with Piotr Jan, he was still not only there, but literally dancing to the octagon and bopping his head to the music tonight, cage side in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, to corner Merab Dvalishvili. It's not that I ever really had any respect for Aljamain Sterling to begin with, but then to try and legitimize himself as the champion when he was quite literally the first person in the history of the UFC to ever receive a belt upon his opponent being disqualified. He was literally the first ever gifted champion from a DQ, then tried to legitimize that, then proved Piotr Jan 100% correct and pulling out of the fight just weeks before it was going to happen, despite the fact that he was clearly well enough this evening. And you can go watch the replay if you think I'm talking shit or just being a hater. Go watch the replay. I encourage you. He danced his way to the fucking octagon with Merab bouncing and bopping. For a man that's got a neck injury that's so severe he can't compete in a title fight, he sure seemed fucking limber this evening.
Now I got one problem. I've had surgery on my neck twice. I have degenerative disc disease. I have titanium plates on my neck. If your shit's fucked up, guess what? You don't leave your fucking house. If you do, you know what? You're in those fucking C braces for fucking months, not for
That you
fucking
don't want to
6
dance, do
months.
you? Yeah, I
Not
bet
you
you don't
don't.
want to dance down the fucking runway, do you?
Not for 6 months. I was hospital rehab training in 3 months' time. And I got in a fucking accident in Afghanistan with a fucking IED. Fuck a head kick. I got fucked. I was good in 3 months. It's been since March. Over 6 months. Sorry to tell you, an IED blast is a whole lot fucking worse than a goddamn knee to the fucking head. Knee to the head.
Right.
Right. You're full of shit. Strip him from the belt. Fucking interim. Because that's what they're talking about doing now. Fucking interim shot. He wants to be a fucking bitch.
That's what we're gonna lead into, and believe me, we will get more into this, I promise you, on Thursday. But that's the reason I wanted to bring this up, is that immediately after they announced that Aljamain was too injured still from his surgery to compete next month, the immediate talk, unofficially, of course, because they don't make deals on the weekends, everything gets handled in the business meeting Tuesday, according to Dana. I'm making air quotes for those of you just listening. But the immediate unofficial quote from a UFC representative who would not be named because it was speculation was that they had a feeling that this was going to happen as well, seeing as how Aljamain was trying to set such a quick timeline for recovery. So they already kind of had a backup plan waiting to be put in motion in case this happened. And what they're going to try to do between now and October 23rd is put together an interim title fight with Petr Yan and unofficially, most likely, Corey Sandhagen, since TJ Dillashaw is still injured and won't be back until January at the earliest. So what it looks like is going to happen in a roundabout way is actually what a lot of us wanted to happen, is that Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen are going to have this interim, and there's a legitimate chance that Corey Sandhagen can take Petr Yan out. I'm a Petr Yan fan, but I'm also a realist. And there's a legitimate chance that Corey Sandhagen, especially as motivated as he would be by the interim status, might be able to get past Petr Yan. And if he does, there is no other option. There is no way out for Aljamain Sterling but to rematch Corey Sandhagen, other than to vacate the belt and literally just let it go and let them put it back up, in which case Corey gets his shot at the belt anyway, and then he will most likely face TJ for it. But the smart money at this point, as they say, looks like Aljamain, as full of shit as he is, just actually set up the outcome that a lot of people might have hoped originally was going to play out for us. So fuck him regardless, but this might give us a more entertaining ass whipping for him than what we were going to get with Petr Yan. That I'm okay with.
I mean, if it's Sandhagen, boy, you better eat your Wheaties. That's gonna be a rough fucking Saturday.
I'm saying, and especially with that being a rematch, you know damn well you better have been in the gym fucking working extra to get every fucking tiny little fucking chink in that armor shined and polished out, buffed to a glorious detail.
Oh, there's too many fucking chinks and fucking dings in that armor, man. For Sandhagen,
I think it could get real interesting. I think he might actually stand a better chance in a rematch against Sterling rather than Yan will.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if we actually do end up getting a Yan Sterling rematch again, despite this roundabout interim bullshit, it's going to be a point fest. I have a feeling that Aljo is going to stay on his bike and run and try and keep that belt by point festing. So I think this might be the more interesting way for us to get a fight. Hopefully.
I mean, really, that's kind of what Aljo tried to do the first run around, but Yan kept cutting him off, started corralling him, putting him into the fence to where he can't fucking go anywhere.
Whereas Corey tried to and then got sloppy when they got to the ground and gave his fucking neck up, and Aljo grabbed it real quick. Piotr didn't give him that fucking option. So I don't know. I think it's going to get real interesting.
I think Alja is just turning into the cost check of the fucking new generation of fighters.
There's a little bit of that for sure.
Throwing into the old days, the early to mid 2000s, right, for all the younger folks.
For those that know that, for those that get that reference, I think you'll see that relevance as well. I agree. Good call. The second thing that I wanted to talk about real quick here, you might have guessed by the thumbnail and then the opening GIF, the gift that keeps on giving, John fucking Jones. The irony is almost so much I can't finish the sentence.
The irony is palpable.
Last night, Friday night, John Svelte Heavyweight Jones shows up in a size medium sport coat for his Hall of Fame induction for the fight against Gustafsson, which, congrats. Hats the fuck off. That was a spectacular fight. That legitimately was one of the best 205 title fights ever. I agree with that being awarded. That's not the topic of our conversation. The topic of our conversation is John shows up to this fucking Hall of Fame induction, says that he anticipates fighting in the first quarter of 2022, most likely late February, early March. That he's just about where he wants to be. He's pretty sure the UFC is going to agree to the terms that he's going to give him for his return, and that now he just has to work on becoming better at selling pay-per-views. So what he's going to do going forward is try to create more legally controversial bullshit for the media to latch onto and talk about him for. John Jones, being the creature of irony that he is, I believe it was 3.5 hours later, gets arrested by Las Vegas PD for public intoxication, battery, domestic violence with injury, and tampering with a motor vehicle, held on $850,000 bond, which last I saw still had not been paid. So John is still sitting in a cell in Las Vegas.
He has to sit in that jail cell for 12 hours mandatory, regardless if he pays it or not. As of sources, his bond has been paid. But legally he has to sit in jail on a domestic violence charge for a minimum of 12 hours.
Yeah, and I literally just checked. I just refreshed 3 different MMA journalism sites right now. There is no story anywhere of John Jones getting released from jail. So as of right now, all sources still confirm his ass is still sitting in a fucking cement box in Las Vegas.
For Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, their thing is any physical altercation, battery, assault, or domestic violence, you have to stay in jail for a minimum of 12 hours. Sometimes it can get up to 48 to 72 hours, depending on you as a human being, on how you do while you're there. I lived in Las Vegas enough. I know how that shit works. I was never arrested. Let me get that out there. I know their deal. I know that circuit pretty fucking well.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. It's not that I wanted to bring this up as a chance to kick a guy when he's down. John gives you more than enough opportunities to do that. I wanted to talk about this because this is going to be that point in John Jones's career, much like the Dolly was for Connor's career, where I feel like you are literally on that knife edge. Either you're going to just run it downhill until the fucking wheels fall off and it's not going to be pretty, or you're going to snap the fuck out of it and get your shit together, because at this point, it's almost too late to do that.
Yeah.
And for any normal person, for any one of us watching or listening to this, it would have been too late on strike 1. This is like strike 5 for John. And this is serious. This isn't, he yelled at somebody or he fucking slapped an old man in a bar or he took some fucking fan's phone and stepped on it. Like, this is serious. This isn't a John hit a fucking car and ran off, which was still pretty goddamn serious. But this might be the thing that legitimately could, like it or not, land John Jones in serious jail time, in genuine trouble. He might actually have to be held accountable for his actions this time, and that will mean jail time, regardless of how much lawyer he can pay.
My only problem is Las Vegas, Nevada in and of itself, since most of the state is a alcohol and drug oriented state at this point. Domestic violence is not a felony charge anymore inside of Nevada.
But the stack of charges.
Yeah. But
like I said, they didn't just get him for domestic violence. They got him. He apparently didn't just strike his significant other. He also assaulted someone else on the scene,
which is also a misdemeanor inside of Vegas.
But
the only serious charge,
given his track record, though,
yeah, the big serious charge for him that can turn into a felony, depending on the vehicle, is tampering with a motor vehicle. That's the biggest jail time item.
If it were an individual charge, I would say yes. But given that
with the stack of it,
record as a whole stacking up leading to this, that's going to hold considerably more weight than a first-time offender. And it's still, I guarantee you, it's still not going to get him the legitimate punishment it would get you or I or anyone else listening to or watching this. But this more than likely will result in some type of a serious punishment. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's genuinely what John needs. He's gotten slaps on the wrist every time he's done something stupid. And like I said, I didn't talk about this to kick him when he's down. It's that I feel like this is that point. If he's going to turn it around,
he's got to do it quick.
Because he's going to get held responsible or held accountable for his actions. He's going to have to be responsible for what he's done. And then he's going to have to actively turn it around immediately. Not just saying he's doing shit, not staging videos, catching kids with spray paint cans and shit. You got to fucking do it right, period, from here on out. Or that's it. Because despite what you have done, there reaches a point where what you're doing outweighs what you did. I was a Conor McGregor fan through and through. I still love watching Conor fight, but I can't justify any of his fucking actions of the last few years. They're inexcusable to say the least. This is that point, I feel, for John Jones. No matter what you fucking feel about him in the octagon, your legacy can't outweigh your actions as a human being. And this is John's last chance, I think. This is that tipping point. Either you fix your shit or you become a laughing stock from here out, really. That's sad.
The funniest part of this to me was the interview with Dana White. Dana's words, and quite literally, anytime John Jones has come to Vegas, something fucking happens.
Yeah, something. Literally.
In Dana's words, he's just got to stay out of Vegas every time. The man's got demons. He's got a lot of demons. Every time he comes to Vegas, something pops off. This time he got arrested. Last time he got hit for the hot piss test.
Yep.
The time before that, he got arrested. The time before that, he got in a fight backstage with a fan.
Yep.
The time before that, he got arrested again. Every single time he comes to Vegas, something like happens to John. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Dana's words, the man's got demons. A lot of demons.
A lot of fucking demons. And that's exactly why I think that they're not going to let this one go as just another slap on the wrist. Because in the fucking best of situation or in the best of circumstances, if you look just not at John's mixed martial arts record. If you look at John Jones's criminal record in the last 10 years,
I would say throw him in for the rest of the year.
I'm
Let
just
him
saying,
hang
if
out.
you look at John Jones' criminal record for the last 10 years alone, it's going to be real hard for any good fucking lawyer or judge to justify the punishments for the crimes that he has gotten convicted or pled no contest to.
Yeah. Throw him in. Throw his ass in for the rest of the year. Let him fucking
At the very fucking least, man.
let him sit in an isolation area because he's a celebrity. He's a big name.
Yeah, you can't put him in Gen Pop for fuck's sake.
Put him in an isolation area. Let him sit there for 3 months. Let him sit there. Let him sit there for about 2.5 or 3 months, and he's gonna figure out what the fuck he's doing with his life and what he wants to do with his life. Let him do that, because that fucking time, being alone, being in your brain, being in your thoughts, you can figure a lot of shit out.
A lot of thinking. I've spent a little bit of time in a fucking one-man box, and it definitely gives you time to think whether you like it or not.
And sometimes that time thinking is the best thing for your life, point blank fucking period.
Yeah, that's some of the most introspective thought you'll ever have in your fucking life, whether you like it or not.
It's fucking good for you. That time frame of you thinking about what the fuck you want to do, how you're going to do it, make a game plan for the next year is the best time you could possibly spend in jail.
I agree. So hopefully, and I don't say this in a negative or malicious way, despite how it sounds, hopefully John Jones goes to jail. Because I genuinely believe that's the only way he's going to get any kind of learning out of these fucking experiences. Because every time he's fucked up prior to this, he's gotten away with a slap on the wrist and time served in some community service.
I have one stipulation. Let him go to jail, but let them bring a gym, like some basic workout equipment, into his area.
Yeah. We don't need John
give
Jones
him that.
We don't need John Jones doing fucking feet on the cot push-ups for 3 months and fucking, wrapped t-shirt bar curls and shit. Like, let him at least have access to some basic gym equipment and shit. I agree with that. Like, we're not going to need him in a maximum security prison where he's in a fucking lockdown 24/7. Like, we can still let him have a little bit of civility. I agree with that.
Give him like a Smith machine to where he can't take weights off.
Yeah, so you can't play with shit, but you can still adjust it. Yeah.
Give him like a Smith machine to where he can't take plates off, can't take a bar off and hit somebody with it or anything like that. Yeah, just a stationary, something like that. Because that sort of shit, that's therapeutic. That's good therapy. Time thinking, exercise. That's therapy right there.
I agree. So from there, the other 3 surprising things that I wanted to talk about on this quick little deal are our 3 highlights of the evening. I am double checking, and we are waiting for bonus announcements right now. I am literally constantly refreshing in the background here, watching for them.
Let me just give a fucking shout out to the early prelims. That started off pretty fucking good today.
Well, that's why we're not doing a full breakdown, because
I just want to give
for Thursday, the early prelims and the prelims combined as a whole were better than any fight night card we've seen in 2021.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the three fights that were on the early prelims. Those were some fucking bangers.
Yeah, the early
those were good.
But yeah, you definitely want to go back and rewatch the fights that you missed tonight, like the earlies and the prelims got combined.
I'm 3 fights into prelims right now.
Yeah,
those earlies were fucking bangers, man.
Were fucking spectacular. I've got honestly more notes, more positive notes for sure on the prelims and the earlies than I do for the fucking main card for sure. Like, we were legitimately worried coming into the Diaz Lawler rematch that this whole main card was going to suck. I'm not joking. Like, I was screaming at my television. I was screaming at the top of my fucking lungs for the prelims. No joke, no exaggeration. And the first two fucking fights of the main card had me literally yawning. I'm not joking.
I
Galti and I were
saw
talking about it. We were concerned that this was going to be a theme and the whole main card was just going to suck tonight.
yeah, I saw clips whenever I'd look on Instagram because I've the UFC page on Instagram and I'd see clips. I'm like, wow,
They were pretty fucking on it tonight. I saw
wow,
that.
Marlon and Rice, you fucking suck, dude.
You don't even understand. You need to watch that entire. That might be one of the best 3-round fights that 2021 has produced. It genuinely was. That fight was scary. Like I said, we'll get more into the details of all the
on
fights
Thursday.
on Thursday. But no, the three that I want to talk about now are the three big ones because all three of them had some fucking ridiculousness. So first and foremost, there's a reason you don't make fucking rematches after 17 goddamn years. I said it going into the fight. I did not fucking believe this was legit. And as soon as it started, my fucking suspicions were confirmed. I'm calling it again. It was fucking wolf tickets. Diaz never showed up. He looked like somebody who used to do a thing. Like when you see an 80-year-old man step on a skateboard and he gets that twinkle in his eye as he rolls at 1 mile an hour because he used to do this. And then the second he tries to ollie, he falls and breaks his fucking hip. That's what Nick Diaz looked like to me tonight. As soon as he got to the point after maybe a dozen fucking punches through, you could see him start to loosen up a little bit, but it was all too slow and it was all out of order. You could tell it looked like somebody who was going through the motions that they remembered they were supposed to do, but it had been too long since he actively got in there and did that with 30,000 people screaming behind him, and he didn't remember how to do this the same way anymore. That was not the same Nick Diaz tonight that we saw against Anderson Silva 6 fucking years ago. Not even fucking close.
I mean,
and
like
the thing that bothers me the most about it, I get that you signed the contract. I get that you showed up. And I will say, I 100% did not even think Nick was going to show up. I never thought we'd get to the fight tonight in the octagon. So I will admit that I was wrong there. Credit for showing the fuck up. But a week out, knowing how long you had this fight in the fucking bag, a week out, changing it from 170 to 185 pounds because you know you couldn't fucking make 170 and Robbie was already at 170, that's bullshit. But then the way that it ended, the way that this fight ended legitimately made me angry. And I will say this, had I been the one that had paid for this pay-per-view, I would have been even more fucking angry. Luckily, I did not have to fork out cash for that this evening. But oh my fucking God. We get a non-title fight, 5-rounder for another Diaz for some fucking reason. And we didn't need it. We didn't fucking need it. Robbie Lawler got the better of basically every exchange that they had, with the exception of maybe 2 quick exchanges. And that's being generous because every time they clashed, for every time Nick hit Robbie, Robbie hit Nick back. But the majority of Nick's shots didn't land. He hit a whole lot of Robbie's forearms, a lot of the back of Robbie's head, a lot of the top of Robbie's head, and then a lot of Robbie's elbows on the lower guard. Not to say that Nick didn't land shots. I'm not saying that at all. Nick landed some shots. He absolutely did. But not even a fucking shadow of Nick Diaz, the general of the army. Luckily for him, Robbie Lawler has absolutely lost a step along the way, being active for the last 6 years and being in some fucking major wars in that time. So it wasn't incredibly threatening right out of the gate. It wasn't like as dangerous as the 17 years ago Robbie Lawler was right out the gate, but you could see Robbie knew where his shots were landing and how to land them, even if it took him a little bit to get there. And when Robbie landed that good shot on Nick, and it was a beautiful fucking shot, Nick hit the ground and then just wouldn't get up. Herb Dean told him to get back up. Nick Diaz spit his mouthpiece out, spit on the canvas, and said, "Nah, I'm done." Literally said, "Nah, I'm done." So they fucking waved the fight off and called it a TKO. Props to Robbie for coming right over and fucking shaking his hand, and then Nick showing a lot more respect now than he did the last time they saw this. But Nick literally took a shot, hit the ground, and just went, "Nah, I'm done." The general, the most badass motherfucker in the Diaz army. What happened to go out on your shield? Don't be scared, homie. He took a good shot and he literally sat on his ass, spit his mouthpiece out, and quit in the middle of a fucking round. That's the toughest dude in that camp. That's the guy you all want to fucking be like. That was sad, man. Like, the fact that he got in that octagon made me expect more. And what I saw was a fucking shell of a man. It was a shell of what he used to be. It was a guy who got in there for a paycheck and to try and reclaim old glory that he thought he could still fucking do. And it had just been too long. Training in a fucking octagon in your gym ain't the same as fighting in an octagon in front of 30,000 people live. It's just not.
I mean, the big difference is, at least to me, train in an octagon in your own time. But you got to train in the octagon with the same intensity that you're going to train in an actual fight. 30,000 fans or not, you still have to put in that same fucking fire, that same fucking intensity. I train whenever I go to my gym and I spar, I'm with somebody that understands I want to fucking kill you. That's the way I spar. That's the way I fucking train. Because what am I training for? Exactly. I'm training to take somebody's fucking head off.
If you train for pitter patter fucking light hands, then you're going to expect pitter patter light hands from the guy you get in the octagon with. And that's not what he is fucking prepared for.
Especially in that fucking weight division.
Bet your ass.
Whenever you train, you have to train to fucking kill. Point blank fucking period. Whenever you train in your own time, you have to train like a savage. You have to train like a fucking murderer. Because that's your job. That's what you get paid for. That's what you sign up to do. That's what every person on the UFC roster is paid for. To take somebody's head off their fucking neck. I guarantee Nick didn't actually properly train. Except for 3 weeks.
There's no way.
Except for the last 3 weeks before this fight actually happened.
Even then, I genuinely doubt he gave it 100%.
Oh, he 100%.
100% looked like he phoned it in, man. Like he was convinced that he was that guy that used to be able to do a thing that he could still do it because he used to be able to.
Like I said this past Thursday. He's just here for a paycheck and to keep his fucking name relevant.
Yeah, and at this point,
because the last several years, whenever you hear Diaz, you think about Nate. Because Nate
way more than Nick for sure.
Nate, even the Leon Edwards fight, Nate schooled on him. He showed the fuck off.
Nate stole the fight in the last 48 seconds. In less than a minute at the end of 25, Nate Diaz stole that goddamn fight.
And Nate could have kept on fucking going. He could have kept going for another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, Nate could put another 5 rounds in after that all fucking night. No question. No question.
But whenever you hear Diaz for the last 10 years, you really think of Nate, because Nate always brought savagery. That's in the Diaz blood. But Nate embodied it more than Nick ever did and ever will. Well, Nate was always
story on the thing tonight.
Yeah.
The build up or the pre-story, whatever the fuck they call that rollout footage they do.
Yeah. Their little
Nick's
promo.
Motivation for starting all of this was because my brother was getting in fights. My brother was getting in gang fights. And when I tried to defend him, I got stabbed. So I had to learn to fight too. My brother was getting in gang fights. It's starting to look like Nick Diaz might have been the face the whole time while Nate's been carrying the fucking weight. Nate might not be the best in the goddamn world, but of the 2 fucking Diaz brothers, it's sure as shit starting to look like he's the one who's had the talent the whole fucking time, and Nick just got the shine at the right moment.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, if you look before Nick got that USADA ban, both of them are fucking killers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every single time, man. Every single time. But I guarantee if Nate got that USADA ban and not Nick, this would be a whole nother story.
It would be
bring it back to Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor 2 right now this Saturday. A 5-rounder, I guarantee you, Nate would have brung some fucking heat, because that's just what he does. That's just what he does. I don't like. Case in point, the Leon Edwards fight. He had that Anderson Silva-esque "fuck you, you can't touch me" for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just stop and dance and look at you like you're fucking stupid. Nick either needs to take a deep look at what the fuck he's doing, what he wants to do. If he wants to get back in this, you're gonna have to train, and not train like you just did. You have to train like the old days.
Triathlon, not talk about teaching the kids.
You have
to train like you used to train, dude.
You have to bring the savagery of Stockton back, because Nate still got that. Nate still has that savagery. Nick, if you want to do this again, you want this to be your thing again, you've been away for a long time, you want to bring it back, you got to tap into that fucking savagery that's inside you. You got to get in there.
It sure fuck wasn't there tonight.
You got to get back. You got to get back into that savagery. You got to live in that savagery for a little while and bring back the animal that was the Nick Diaz. It's not going to be the same. Just like Robbie. He wasn't the same. He's got a lot more fucking road miles than he did 17 years ago. A lot more road miles, a lot more wear and tear, man. You're going to have wear. You're going to have tear too. But you had some time off. You don't have the miles that the other guys, the older guys that you could fight have. You have the upper hand in that one sense.
Well, the funniest thing about it, before the fight started, they did that fucking pan the crowd thing that they do. Sitting front row cage side was the man who headlined the first Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler fight, Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Man who has now been officially completely retired for the full time, officially retired for 4 years now, on his second retirement.
The man that still trains like a fucking animal.
Still trains like he's going to go in tomorrow and fight for the belt. You could follow, you could see him do it on socials. Still trains every goddamn day like he's going into fight tomorrow for that belt.
I have a very good friend of mine. Had a pleasure to meet Chuck Liddell. He went down to the American Top Team gym and took 2 kicks from Chuck Liddell and Luke Rockhold, 2 leg kicks from Chuck Liddell and Luke Rockhold. He said, Luke, he was, I like Luke. He's Luke kicked like a pussy.
I believe that.
Chuck kicked me. That was a fucking bear. He had a bruise from kneecap to the hip, and Chuck kicked him mid thigh.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Cody, for being a beast.
So think about the guy that headlined the original fight has now retired, spent several years retired, came out of retirement, put on an embarrassing fight that showed that he had had too much time out of the cage and just too many miles, then retired again and has now been retired a second time for several years. Nick Diaz hasn't been in the octagon since before Chuck unretired and re-retired. I agree. I will say the one thing I will give Nick credit for. He said it several times going in, and then he said it in the fucking octagon when DC brought the mic to him. I don't know why they made this fight. I don't understand who put this fight together. There was no reason this fight needed to be made. He said it multiple times going up to the fight, and he said it immediately afterwards in the octagon, piecing his nose back together. I don't understand why they made this fight. There was no reason we needed to make this fight. He knew this was a bad idea. He fucking knew this was not going to fucking go well. Any way it played out, it was not going to fucking go well. And he still did show up. So I will absolutely fucking tip my cap to Diaz for that. But I stand on my fucking statement, man. He sold fucking wolf tickets. The guy made famous for calling out wolf tickets, sold fucking wolf tickets for his own return. He didn't show up. That was not the return of Nick Diaz. That was Mr. Diaz showing up for a paycheck and to keep his name in the fucking headlines. And that's kind of sad, in my opinion. But the next thing we're going to talk about real quick so we can hurry up and get on out of here. Obviously, the fucking co-main event. I've said it a million fucking times and I'll say it until they make me not. There's no one in 125 pounds that has a fucking chance against Valentina Shevchenko. I don't care where you take the fight. I don't care what your fucking game plan is. I don't care how good you feel. I don't care how much you like your odds. There is no woman at 125 pounds that holds a fucking candle to Valentina Shevchenko. Period. I will say, there were a lot of fucking boos in the audience and a lot of fucking stupid tweets early on about Valentina not being active. You could tell that she was giving Lauren Murphy a chance to do something. She was quite literally just being reactive, giving Lauren Murphy a chance. This is your moment. Do what you're going to do, and I will react to it.
She was being a counter fighter.
Yeah, Lauren Murphy could not pull the goddamn trigger. You saw her at one point literally go, ugh. I said it to TJ early on when they were doing the fucking walkout before they ever even made it to the fucking octagon. Lauren Murphy put too much pressure on herself leading up into this fight. And I don't give a fuck how many times she smiled in front of a camera and said, I like my chances. I feel good about my position in this. She quite literally sold herself as the girl who has done everything but hold the belt, and then promised the next time she left the octagon, she would be holding it because that's all she had left to do. That's a lot of fucking pressure, regardless of who you're fighting. Regardless, remove Valentina from the equation. That's a lot of fucking pressure to put on yourself. And I get Lauren Murphy has had 5 fucking very, very good looking wins in a row. She absolutely was the number 1 contender of the ladies available. I will absolutely grant her that. I'm not trying to shit on Lauren Murphy at all. But 5 wins in a row, best legitimate contender in the division, did not stand a fucking chance. Looked like a fucking newbie making her debut against a seasoned vet in there. She did not get the better of Valentina in any exchange that they had. She was never in control of that fight at any point, and Valentina quite literally let her try to do whatever she wanted, and then when she got tired of that, took control and ended the goddamn fight like everyone knew she was going to. Props to Lauren Murphy for showing up and believing in herself like she was supposed to, but we all knew how this was going to go. I really think the only thing left for the UFC to do at this point is make Amanda versus Valentina 3 at 135 pounds.
I mean,
let Amanda keep that 45-pound fucking belt. Let her fight Pena at 45. But the only thing left for Valentina to do is go back and challenge Amanda at 35 because she can't make 15. Her versus Rose at 115, I think, would be spectacular. But I don't think Valentina can make 115 safely. And I don't think she would try.
I don't think there's anything there to do Nunes Shevchenko 3. Shevchenko's good. She's damn good. So is Nunes. The second Shevchenko goes to 35 again, she's just going to lose again. Nunes undeniably can shut down any person, man or fucking woman, at 135. Undeniably. Undeniably. I don't give a shit if you're a 135 male bantamweight champion. You will get your shit rocked by Amanda Nunes. Point blank period. And something to Lauren Murphy. A fight's a fight. Don't put pressure on yourself. Never, ever say the next time you see me and you know I'm the number 1 contender. I've been in that situation a handful of fucking times at this point. I've been fighting for fucking years. You're number 1 contender. I just want a shot at the title. Whoever wins, it's going to be a good fight.
You want the chance to compete with the best.
Yeah. Don't put pressure on yourself. Never say the words, I'm going to leave my next fight the champion. I'm going to be the champion. I have held 3 different titles for 3 different organizations. The one thing I've never fucking said, because I've never put myself in the position to feel that pressure, is I'm going to be the champion. Always said, I'm number 1 contender. I just want to shot for my title. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be hell of a night. About it.
Honestly, I don't even have a problem with someone saying, I'm going to be the champ.
I do. I really do.
That shows that you have belief in yourself. What I have a problem with is her saying, I promise you, I'm going to win the belt when I step in the octagon the next time.
You're putting yourself in a corner.
If you've ever watched a fight before, you should know there's no such thing as a guarantee, period. As much as I love Valentina, there was no way I would say 100% confidence that she was going to beat Lauren Murphy, because we say it all the time. There is always a puncher's chance. The sun shines on a blind dog's ass every once in a great fucking while. Blind squirrel can still find a nut one time. There is no such thing as a guarantee in fighting, period. Do you think anyone guaranteed they knew that Nick Diaz was not going to get up from a knockdown, that he would take the canvas and stay there? Fuck off. There's no such thing as a guarantee. There's educated guesses, there's informed speculation, but there's no guarantee. The worst thing you can ever do in the world of fighting, in my opinion, is try and make a guarantee. I guarantee you I'm going to win this fight. I promise I'm going to win this fight. There's no chance I can lose this fight. Those are not words that a true champion ever says. Look at Valentina. All she ever said going into this fight was, I hope that Lauren Murphy brings the best version of her because I'm going to bring the best version of me.
Yeah.
Every time she steps in there, that's what she says. And look what she does.
That's what I mean. Whenever like shit like that, whenever you get in the position to be a number one contender, humility and be humble, because that shit is fucking scary.
Yeah. Look at Thug Rose. Look at Thug Rose, the embodiment of humility as a champion.
That
Joanna's in her face, literally talking shit, pressed nose to fucking nose with her. And she's just staring back at Joanna, reciting the Lord's Prayer.
It's
under her breath.
That
unblinking, unflinching. I'm not here to talk shit.
That
it's terrifying.
Just humility and being humble at that level of the game. Whenever you start to grind your way up, that top 10, that's where you need to be humble. Because if you take one step back, if you lose a fight, people are going to look at you different on the words and the actions of you being a humble human being than you being a cocky motherfucker and whiffing time and time again and fucking losing, getting your shit split. If you're humble, if you're a person that always comes up, it's going to be a hell of a fight, regardless of what happens, it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to give it my all. And so is he. It's going to be a great fight. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good one. Shit like that. Somebody will sit there, be like, hey, we need so-and-so versus so-and-so too, because of this, because of that type of attitude. We need to run this back. That shit. Garrett practically can 50% of the time guarantee you 2 fights down the road, a rematch.
Case in point. I'm not going to give the full spoiler away, but one of the announcements for the news and recent event segment that we're going to be talking about on Thursday is literally because of just that. Because that person lost with such fucking grace and dignity and humility and took the fucking loss like a legitimate champion. They're getting their fucking rematch because of specifically how they handled it, because neither one of them have fought since then. They're genuinely getting their rematch because of that exact thing. And I'm not going to give it away, but there is a thing we'll talk about on Thursday that literally is because of that. Being a good fucking sport in this, being a good sportsman in the combat world will get you so goddamn far, legitimately.
Yeah, that's always been one thing that even when I was training and doing on sparring and everything, if I knew I lost and just a on the fly spar, you always show respect. You always show love. You always shake the hand.
Win or lose, man. You gotta own that shit.
My favorite thing whenever I was younger and I was like 16, 17 years old, and I knew I lost and on the fly spar with somebody at the gym, is I'd fucking give him a hug, be like, dude, like my biggest weakness for a long time was I stood southpaw. They would say orthodox, and they would uppercut the fuck out of my body. That was my biggest fucking weakness because I couldn't read it.
Couldn't close the gap on the center from the other side.
I couldn't read it quick enough. Because I'd always think it'd be an uppercut to my chin, not my fucking stomach.
Fucking chest plate, yeah.
Always. And every time it was one kid Cody Phillips. He still fucking fights to this day. He would fucking hit me with it like 4 or 5 times in a round. I'd always give him a hug and like, dude, the fucking body shot uppercut is fucking gold. Remember that. That body shot uppercut is fucking gold. Regardless if I fucking win or not, those were my words every fucking time. Because that shit would, because you're ducking down, you're turning into it because you're expecting it to come up top every time.
I'm waiting for the jaw to get rocked. Yep.
Case in point, Colby versus Kamaru.
Yep.
Case in point, that is same exact thing.
It was
Usman got it.
He was expecting the body, and he caught him with that fucking uppercut and broke his goddamn jaw.
But he would pop back and forth.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Orthodox versus southpaw.
By going to the fucking body, yeah. And then when fucking Colby was expecting that fucking body shot to come again, Kamaru went the other way and he took it up top and he fucking cracked him and he literally broke his fucking jaw and put him on his ass.
Every single time I had that happen to me.
And by any sense of the imagination, fuck Marty, but that fucking maneuver in that moment was exactly what was fucking called for, man. The kid's got good IQ. I'll give him that. With
both of those stances, that either a hard fucking body kick or just hooks or uppercuts like that leading in is just fucking damage. That's just gnarly. And then you can always feint and then overhand if you're going in with hooks or just a slip to an uppercut to the face instead of to the body. Those are just quintessential prime examples of slips every time.
Yep. But before we get too off fucking track, the last thing that we are going to talk about this evening, that main event, that fucking main event. I genuinely did not think we were going to see a judge's scorecard on that. I am honestly kind of surprised they let him come out for round 5. I'm very, very confused as to how both Herb Dean and that doctor let him pass to come out to round 4. He quite literally kept looking away when both Herb Dean and the doctor were trying to confirm he could see out of his fucking eye. And at one point, they brought in a Spanish translator and spoke to him and then had the Spanish translator say it in Spanish. And he spoke Spanish to the translator. And then the Spanish translator would say it in English to Herb Dean. And then when Herb Dean went, "Come on, man, are we doing this or what?" He looked at Herb Dean and went, "No, man, I'm fine. We're good. Let's go."
Are you fucking serious?
I'm not joking. I'm not fucking kidding. Watch the replay if you think I'm fucking joking. I'm not even fucking making it up. That was one of the fucking craziest 5-rounders I have seen in a long fucking time. And the really kind of ironic / scary part about it is that it was so fucking reminiscent of Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega that it was a little bit fucking spooky. For real. We saw Ortega versus the Zombie with Bald Ortega, and he looked great. And then when he walked out tonight, first of all, I will give him credit. That fucking walkout was cool as shit. Purge music, the whole crew had fucking white hoodies and fucking LED masks. That was some fucking Adesanya-esque walkout shit. That was cool. I give him props for that. But that aside, he walked out, and as soon as he took that mask off and he peeled his fucking hood back and he had his hair back, he's grown his hair completely back out and then braided it almost the exact same way he had it done when he fought Max. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of fucking insanity. Volkanovski pieced him up almost exactly the same way that Max did, not to the same volume, with more power and more accuracy, less overall fucking total strikes thrown. But by the time we got to round 4, just like in the goddamn Max fight, there was a legitimate chance the doctor wasn't going to let him come out to fight round fucking 5. We almost got a fucking carbon copy of what it looked like when Max fought Ortega, what was it, 3.5 fucking years ago, almost 4 years ago now. It was almost a fucking Xerox version of the Max fight. Absolute credit to fucking Volkanovski, because in round 4, at one point when he put Ortega on his ass, which he did several fucking times, Ortega got the oh shit wild hair up his ass idea to throw all of the submissions at Volkanovski one after another. And he landed a fucking beautiful guillotine that had Volkanovski kicking like a fucking dolphin, but never panicked, never got fucking freaked out, never lost his composure, and waited Brian's arms out. Brian switched to a fucking Darce. Volkanovski rolled the fuck out of it. Brian tried to knee bar him. Alexander waited till Brian pulled his knee up close, used Ortega's own blood to slide out of the fucking lock. Volkanovski was just better all the way around, really.
Ortega would have had it if had that Darce, if he did shoulder drop Darce. Because you can't fucking get out of a shoulder drop Darce. You can get out of a regular one real fucking easy. But the second you roll completely the fuck over on a shoulder drop, you are locked in with all of that person's fucking shit, upper body strength and fucking weight on your fucking head. You will not get out of that. If he shoulder dropped, he would have fucking had it. Quick and in a fucking hurry.
There was a couple moments in there when he first locked the guillotine in. It looked like he initially had it. And you could see there was a moment where Volkanovski's eyes got real fucking big when that camera zoomed in from the second angle. Volkanovski's eyes got real big. I think when he initially locked it in, I think Ortega fucking had him. But I think the combination of it being so late in the goddamn fight, being so coated with fucking sweat already, and Ortega bleeding everywhere like a fucking stuck mule at that point, there was just too much room or too many opportunities for Volkanovski, to slide out and to relieve the pressure that Ortega was trying to lock in. And he waited too long to try that. I think had he tried that in round 2, he might have had some success. We might have seen a fucking belt change legitimately. But the fact that he waited till all the way at the end when he was already busted up, bleeding everywhere, they're sweating all the fucking over the place at that point, we're into championship fucking material rounds. That's a recipe for failure. You're setting yourself up to fucking lose. I'm genuinely surprised that fight went to a decision. I think that fight could have been stopped, honestly, 2 or 3 different times. Credit to Ortega for being a tough motherfucker. Heart has never been anything he has ever lacked. Toughness has never been his fucking issue. Brian Ortega's issue, I think, is that when he knocked, and I said this before and I'll say it again, when he knocked out Frankie Edgar, when he landed that fucking uppercut, he fell in love with his hands. He's always clearly got that Gracie fucking upper echelon jiu-jitsu in his back pocket, as we saw with the roll of like 7 different submission attempts in a row. 3 of them very serious that almost finished it. But I think he fell in love too much with his own fucking hands when he got that shot on Frankie. And we saw it against Max, and then we saw it again tonight against Alexander. He's willing to take so much punishment thinking that he's going to land that knockout on everybody now. And that's not his style, and that's not his strong suit. Like, credit for landing it on Frankie. Absolutely. But that's the only time that's ever happened to Frankie in 15 fucking years. Credit where credit's due. You landed the shot, but you wouldn't land that 10 times out of 10. I bet you wouldn't land that 5 times out of 10. That's not your strong suit, man. We say it all the fucking time. Stick with what got you to the dance. Ortega's not doing that anymore. And I get that he, quote unquote, changed up his camp and changed up his training. But that Brian Ortega that we saw an hour ago looked exactly like the Brian Ortega that we saw 4 years ago against Max Holloway. And we got almost the exact same fucking result. Literally, we got almost the exact same fucking result. So at this point, I think he has two choices. Either he relinquishes himself to be a top 5 gatekeeper and realizes that he's never going to see that chance at the belt again, or he legitimately actually gets a full new camp. Stop hanging out with fucking Henner, who you've known since you were 15. Stop dealing with fucking Jay Park, who you've been dealing with since you were fucking 21. Get a legitimate new camp, completely fucking uproot, go somewhere you've never fucking been before, people you've never fucking worked with before, start from fucking scratch, get a whole new fucking team.
Go to
I don't
Sanford.
think Ortega ever goes above 3 again. Sanford would do him a lot of good. You and I both know that.
Go to Sanford.
You and I both know Henry would do him a lot of fucking good.
Go to Sanford.
But I mean, realistically, at this point, the new quote unquote team and training was the same team and training we saw, and we got the same results from the last time we saw what they put out. If he doesn't legitimately, finally, actually, genuinely change camps and change his team up, I think this is all we're going to see. I think that's the best Ortega we're going to be able to see until they finally cut him loose and we start seeing him get weird matchups in Bellator or BKFC.
Yeah, like,
and that sucks either way. Really, it does. And I don't say that to be an asshole. I am an asshole, but that's not why I said that. This is really how I see this. I would love nothing more than to have seen Ortega come out there tonight and just be a fucking stud and done what we all know he's capable of doing. But at this point, it genuinely seems like he's his own worst enemy. Like, he is so high on what he is fucking selling. He's so up on himself that he can't be critical. And in this game, at this level, at the championship level, you can't afford that. And that showed tonight.
really top 10 at that level. You can't be full of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think, especially after the Holloway fight, I think whenever he gets in this position, I think he's gun shy. I think
he doesn't want to seem like he's going to back down.
I think he sees an opportunity. He wants to jump for it, but he's like, no. I don't want to do that. I want to pick him. I want to pick my shots. I'm going to pick my shots.
He wants that elbow every time. He wants that uppercut every time. That spinning elbow on the zombie. That uppercut on on Frankie. He wants that pretty shot, that highlight reel every time.
He just wants to pick his shots. Which
look where that got Tyke Will.
That is okay if you want to pick your shots, but you have to pick an intelligent shot. You see an opening, you see counter, you fucking take it.
You can't only pick your shots. You have to know when
to pick a shot. You see an opening, starting to drop that hand. The second he starts to drop it, start fucking with him.
Yep.
You start seeing counters, start fucking with him. Don't pick a shot for a knockout.
If you adapt your game plan to just looking for that shot, you're going to end up getting an I Love Jake Paul tattoo.
Yeah.
That's the hard reality of
it. You have to, at that level of the game, being in the top 10 best of the fucking world, you have to fight intelligently. Like, look at what Cyril Gahn did whenever he got his opportunity to be the number 1 contender. Whenever he did that, and then before even the Derek Lewis fight, whenever he fought Rosenstruik, he picked the shots. He knew where he wanted to be. He knew how to get there. He knew how to fuck with his opponent to keep them at bay, to keep them second guessing themselves. That's what you have to do whenever you get to that upper echelon of the game. You have to know how to pick your shots. You need to know how to get in, get out real quick.
The co-main.
Yeah.
Valentina picked that is one of the most perfect examples of being able to pick your shots, because Valentina quite literally stood coiled like a fucking snake ready to fucking pounce and waited. Let Lauren Murphy try to lead the dance. And then when she wanted to counter, when she wanted to move in and engage first, when she wanted to step off and come from a different angle and throw a body kick instead of a fucking shot, she did. Because she wasn't just looking for that shot. she kept her awareness in the fight. And when that shot presented itself, she fucking took it. That's the difference in the Ortega fight and the Valentina fight. That's the difference in only looking for that big shot and just letting that big shot come when it may and being conscious enough to realize it.
Yeah.
But that's all we've got for this one. This was not, like I said, a full recap. Just wanted to talk about the crazy big endings that we got this evening and then the fucking ridiculous weird news. We will have a full I'm No Joe episode for you on Thursday with some fucking crazy news and recent events that we will talk about then. Some interesting fight announcements that we have gotten in the last couple days and a couple that I anticipate seeing in the next couple days, and a breakdown for all the next fun we have got anticipated for you fine folks. But before we get on out of here, if folks have not had enough of the young guy and they need a little more RJ in their life, how can folks find you after the show is over, sir?
And you can always find me over there, RJ MMA Official, over there on Instagram. You can talk some shit with me. By all means, I'm all for it. You can find me over at TJ's channel, Golf T Vapes, on Wednesdays. Find me here on this channel on Thursdays. You can find me at the I'm No Joe Discord channel, which is scrolling the bottom of the screen and a link in the description, and over at anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. Go over there, click that fucking link. Get into the best, punchy, kickiest Discord channel that's ever fucking been. Okay, folks? Go over there, chock full of news and recent events that don't get brought up on Thursdays. For instance, you could go read the entire fucking presser on John Jones's arrest that Meter put up there just today. You can go over there and see that before we even talked about this. You could know the fucking future of what's going to be on the show potentially. You could talk about some cool shit and chat with other folks that care about the punchy kickies, folks. And of course, I can't be on I'm No Joe and not mention our fucking fan Q&A segment. Drop a question for any one of us in particular, or just us as I'm No Joe in and of itself. Drop a question over there for the fan Q&A segment. We'll answer it that following week live on the broadcast. And OnlyFans/I'm No Joe.
Damn Skippy. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
That was a hell of a promo.
We're getting there. We're getting there. I told you, I'll turn you into a promo machine before we're done with this shit yet. I won't have to do any promos by the time we're all said and done. I'll get you there. But that being said, thank you to everybody who tuned in live. We see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for everybody who's catching this on a replay. If you are into all things punchy kicky and all the shenanigans and shit talking we get up to around here, you can catch us on all social media platforms, facebook.com, instagram.com, all/I'm No Joe, youtube.com/I'm No Joe. If you want to listen instead of looking at these goofy fucking faces and use us as your delectable background noise or your seductive and sultry sleepy time noise, Anchor.fm/I'm No Joe to get us through your podcast consumption platform of choice. If you love what we do around here, you can also get the dirtiest bits at onlyfans.com/I'm No Joe. And if you want to help out, if you want to help us build this I'm No Joe empire that we have got going on here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe helps us do what we do and also gives you access to the behind the scenes, the unaired and the unairable footage, things we quite literally just can't show you on YouTube. And it helps us do what we do. That being said, make sure you hit that like button if you do like what we do. Hit that notification button once you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If, on the other hand, we are just late night losers talking out our asses without knowing what the fuck we really are talking about here, go ahead and give us that thumbs down and we won't dispute it because we earned it. But that being said, we are going to call that all for this particular episode of Late Night with I'm No Joe here. So with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. And don't forget, boys and girls, you can root for anything. Don't let ignorance stop you. However the fuck I usually say that. We're gone.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye?